What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. I have an awesome review for you guys today. It is the special edition Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elite from Montebelluna, Italy. All right, so surprise, surprise. First of all, huge thank you to Proper Retro Boots for housing these. Because they came from Europe, I had to send them to the UK. So Marcus, thank you so much for this. Guys, definitely first link in the description, go check those out. His page is awesome. He does all sorts of retro boots. His tag is at proper_retro_boots. So thank you, PRB. I appreciate you very much for getting these to me so quickly. Something that you might notice right off the bat is these are not a special edition box. This is a very basic silver Nike box, just like most of the other Elite models from Nike. It is super basic, and I'm really excited to share with you guys some of the differences between this model and the other regular Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. But first, I want to talk about why the Legend 9 is such a crazy boot for whatever reason. There was a huge amount of demand right when some of the pandemic started to happen, when we all had to stay inside. There were supply chain issues, all this stuff. The first generation of Tiempo Legend 9, if you guys remember my review, it took me almost a month after they released it to actually get that model in. And why the Tiempo Legend 9 for some reason has become this crazy thing, they sell out so quickly, is because it's really difficult to actually get them for the most part when they right immediately when they launch. I see a lot of Instagram resellers, they'll hold like a stock of Tiempo Legend 9s. Sometimes websites will have them, but not in the right sizes. It might get better now, but that's why this is such a special boot, because this is like a special edition of a silo that has kind of gone missing in a lot of ways. Like it's just been really difficult to ship, and a lot of people wanted them at the beginning and never got them. So anyway, long story short, Tiempo Legend 9 Elite in the Montebelluna. This is a UK 8. So there's that box. So this is a UK 8, my usual size 9 US, which is pretty standard. You've got the silver Nike logo with the black Nike on there. Silver box with the swoosh. And then on the bottom, just some little designed by athletes type jargon on there, delivered from the future in a cardboard box. Kind of cool. So the story behind these is this is supposed to be an homage from the World Cup that Pirlo won in 2006 with Italy. And he wore the Tiempo Legend 1s, I think, or 2s in this colorway. So it's an homage to that colorway. Those boots were like a gray off-white with blue, and that's the same with these. So without further ado, guys, let's hop into the unboxing. I'm really excited to see what these are like in person. I've heard a few things about them, but have tried to stay, ears plugged, so to speak, about what they're like, just so that I can get a really good first impressions. I haven't seen these in person yet. I just opened the box from England, so very excited. Let's hop into it. Okay, so box, and here we go. Very cool, standard paper, nothing crazy about this. And here we go. Oh man, there you go. There's that first one. There's a little tag in there, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the made in Montebelluna Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. So you might notice something right off the bat that I just showed you. The sole plate, which we'll go over later, is not the Tiempo Legend 9 sole plate. It is the Tiempo Legend 8 and 7 sole plate. So we'll go over that and why they chose to do that one. The upper is crazy soft. This untreated leather is wild. Let's get these out of the box, and I'll show you guys some of the cool features about this boot. So there is the other one, and then we get a string bag. The string bag that comes with it has the Montebelluna logo right there, and then the Tiempo, and then the MB logo on the back, repeated over the course of the entire bag. So very, very cool. Special pair of football boots there. Get the box out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. So cool. They are so soft out of the box. And what's wild to me is because this leather is untreated, so the whole backstory is that in Montebelluna, that's where they make all of their player edition boots. So anything that comes to Totti, those remakes that you guys have seen on my channel, anything that went to Ronaldinho or went to I'm trying to think of other Nike athletes, Pirlo, right? So all these Piqué, Puyol, like all these Nike athletes got Montebelluna leather as opposed to the regular kangaroo leather that we would get as the sort of the normal consumer, if you will. And if you can see, if you notice on the upper, there's a lot of this color gray is like a blue gray almost, and the different panels on these that are stitched together actually look slightly different. So you guys will get a good look at what the boot is like. But each of these panels is different because the leather is untreated. So they actually haven't done anything to it, which is why up here in the front, you can see it's kind of scuffed already. And the whole point of this is to make it a really, really raw sensation on feet. It's almost got a matte, sticky finish to it. I wouldn't say it's sticky by any stretch of the imagination, but they definitely have a matte finish to them. And then there's a couple other things that make this boot quite different from the other one. I'm actually gonna take this paper out of the front as well, just so you guys can see how crazy thin this leather upper is, which is awesome. Okay, so here we go. Really nice, soft leather. You can see it doesn't really crease because it's already super soft. There's no hard spots in it except for this one pad in the instep, and that's the first thing that we'll talk about that they changed about this boot, other than the leather upper, obviously, from the Tiempo, traditional Tiempo Legend 9 Elite, is that they've removed the big pad that sits on the front of this in the forefoot area where the kind of a touch pod is. They've kept the one right on the instep for passing, and it's still really cushiony, and it's a little bit different than the one that's in there. They put these like perforated holes on the inside, which is kind of cool, so that's a little bit different. But that is the only place where you've got something other than just the crazy soft leather upper from Montebelluna. So the other, and this is Alegria leather, by the way, if I haven't mentioned that before. So this is the same Alegria leather that's on the Tiempo Legend 5 Special Edition Totti boots that I have, that you guys have hopefully seen the review on that. You guys will see pop-ups on screen for all these videos that I'm mentioning. But one of the things that they've done compared to the Tiempo Legend 9 is they've removed that. And the Tiempo Legend 9 for me is one of the most padded, kind of soft, padded touches on the ball and on the pitch too. I often tell people you're going to get stepped on no matter what, but the difference between something like a Speed Portal or a Vapor and the Tiempo is quite significant. Because there's so much padding in that forefoot area in the toe box, it is a massive amount of cushioning on the ball, and it really gives you that soft padded sensation. So if that's what you're going for, would definitely recommend going for something like that. This is going to probably feel a little bit different just because it is still a Tiempo, so it is still a leather boot, but it's going to be a lot thinner straight out of the box. And once you break these in, they should be super, super nice to have on your feet as well. I'm really excited to see what these fit like, and of course, how they break in, which is super exciting. So that is something that they've removed. The other thing that they've changed completely is the sole plate. So they've put what's called the hyper stability, hopefully the reflection's not, there you go. So there's writing right there, or I guess it's an indent, of the hyper stability sole plate from Tiempo Legend 8 and Tiempo Legend 7. You've got bladed studs in the rear, conical studs throughout most of the lateral and medial sides of the forefoot, a chevron stud here in kind of where the knuckles of your foot or your toe would be, and then a small, tiny little chevron stud right at the front there for a little bit more bite as you're moving forward. So that's something to think about as well. This is a great sole plate. The hyper stability sole plate was fantastic on both of those previous generation Tiempos, and I definitely do think that you guys will not really notice that much of a difference. I'm not actually sure why they put this one on there. It might have been just, it's what they had in the factory. It also just could be because this was a really popular sole plate and it's a really great one. So other things to keep in mind, this one does have the same heel construction. It is Alegria leather all around the back with the detailing of Montebelluna stamped into the heel or embossed into the heel there, which I think is a really, really cool feature. But that heel area right in here is the exact same that you're gonna get from the regular Tiempo Legend 9. It's the same material on the inside, just a nice suede liner right there. Nothing too crazy. It fits most heel types. I haven't heard anybody really have issues with the Tiempo Legend 9 shape too much because they went sort of backwards in technology, meaning that they went from the 8, which had all of that internal cage with the with that quad fit system in it. Now all it's got is a little bit of mesh material in and fly knit in that one in the lacing system area, and everything else is pretty much just a plush leather, which is really nice. They've sort of gone backwards, but it is that same sort of neutral feel for most people, I think, and I really do imagine that it's going to be fantastic for anybody who wants a pretty lightweight, actually, leather boot. The Tiempo Legend 9 Elite weighs in right around the 7.2 or 7.3 ounce mark, which is really good for the type of design it is. These are right in that area. I don't have a scale with me, but you guys can go check out other reviews if you want to know the exact weight of it. I believe these are right around, they're just slightly lighter than those, so they're like 7.1 or 7.2 ounces, which again, for a leather football boot is pretty spectacular. I'm really excited to see how these fit and feel on feet. Other differences, it does feel like the tongue area is slightly different. It still is that sort of like pseudo one-piece construction. So the tongue area, this mesh tongue, is actually sewn into the material of the upper, and then you've got a little bit of overlap right there where that material goes into the bottom piece of where the leather is. So the leather does come over the top of it, but it is still going to give you somewhat of a seamless sensation on feet, which I'll touch bases with you guys a little bit later about, actually in the on feet portion of the video, if that actually is the case and whether it does feel pretty seamless. Oftentimes the Tiempo Legend 9 Elites, I can warm up in them without the laces tied. I don't recommend that for playing at all, but that's just something, if you wanted to wear the laces untied, you probably could with the Tiempos, although I don't recommend it. I have heard things being, I've heard the one complaint about this boot is this pour-on, this design. It is mighty slick, this insert right here. Wow, that's actually mega slick. Hopefully you guys can see it. It's a cool design with the little Montebelluna logo on it, but hopefully there's no, I guess it's matte, so you're not gonna see reflect, but there is no structure or any type of texturing to that, which I think might actually be a bad thing. I think there might be a little bit of slippage. I've heard some complaints about people not switching out the inserts for something else, something like a regular Tiempo Legend 9 insert, or whether it's something else with a grippy insert, something like that. These are super slippy on the inside, and so I am curious to know. I'm gonna review these on feet without grip socks just to get a sense of what the stability is like and whether or not I would recommend changing out the insole. So without further ado, guys, let's hop into the on feet portion of the video. I'm very excited to see how these fit and feel on feet, and of course talk to you about what the sizing is like. I really love how these look. My initial impressions of how these look just in hand is probably an 8.5 out of 10. I don't think these look incredible, like they're good looking, but they're not incredible looking. So maybe an 8 out of 10 for me as far as looks in hand. Very nice. Love the chrome sole plate touch. And yeah, let's hop into the on-feet portion of the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in the indoor facility here in Rochester. I've got the beautiful made in Montebelluna Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. I'm very excited to try these on feet. I am wearing a pair of my non-grip socks, but they are from Zypher, who is my grip sock sponsor. They are awesome. I love them. You guys know I've talked about them countless amounts of times. First link in the description box below, or second link behind PRB. Go purchase yours, 10% off. You can get yours. They're awesome. These are the non-grip variation. I wear them all the time. With that being said, let's hop into the on-feet portion of the video. I'm so excited to try these on. They are absolutely beautiful boots. Throw these shoes to the side actually, and we will get these on. Here we go. All right. Oh, there's still paper in the end of this one. Bummer. Okay. Could have looked at that before we came out here. All right, and slipping on the, oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so first impressions really quickly. If I didn't know these were Montebelluna leather and Alegria leather, they're almost the exact same feeling of putting on a Tiempo Legend 9 Elite, just the regular version. They are a bit stiff here in the toe box, just because they are a little bit slimmer fitting in that toe box area, but definitely nothing
super crazy, but I would say they have a very similar shape to those Tiempo Legend 9 Elites. And that's something that I first noticed when I put these on. Just gonna tie the laces a little bit, not too much, but just enough to get a good idea of what they look like fully tied. But these are super comfortable straight out of the box. They are a little bit on the slimmer side in the toe box area, so if you do have super wide toe box area, these might not be the right boots for you. And if you are somebody who has a wide midfoot, you'll probably be fine. It just is going to take a little bit longer to break in. That was my experience with the Tiempo Legend 9 Elite, which I wore for a long time. I ended up moving out of those boots because I found some boots that better accommodated my feet, and also found a couple pairs of my favorite boot, the Hypervenom Phantom 3. But I do still really like the Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. I think it's a great boot for most people. And there you go. So that is the made in Montebelluna Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. They are really comfortable straight out of the box. They do a really nice job of wrapping your foot. They are definitely, as you can see, I'm trying to wiggle my toes here. They definitely come size 9 US right up to my toe, just like a normal Tiempo Legend 9 would. I love that chrome fit sole plate, which is awesome. And I definitely think these are a great pair of football boots. So this is what they look like with white socks. They are definitely a gray, like a blue, off gray, off white blue color. They look really nice on feet. I do think they are absolutely spectacular. You guys will see a bunch of B-roll of me passing a ball and doing some dribbling sequences with these just to get an idea of what they look like on feet. The touch on the ball is definitely really nice. So I've actually done all the pre-recording of that B-roll stuff already. So the touch on the ball is really nice. It's very thin, and it's a very thin leather sensation. So that's something that's a lot different from the regular Tiempo Legend 9, which I mentioned in the unboxing portion of the video, that is a lot more padded. It's a much more padded sensation, whereas these are really thin. It's a very one-to-one sensation on the ball, except obviously for that pad right here in the instep of the foot, which you get in that area, which is super padded. But anywhere else on the boot, in this forefoot toe box area and also in this lateral side, is just a really thin piece of that Allegria leather, which is awesome. It feels really nice on feet, and it gives you a really nice touch on the ball, and you feel definitely like you're able to control the ball well. It's got no distractions really, which is also really fantastic. The other thing that I've heard about this boot as well is that it doesn't have the same amount of lockdown as some of the normal Tiempos. That's partially because of the thicker material on the regular Tiempo, the regular launch Tiempos, and in comparison to these, which are just that single piece of Allegria leather that's untreated, so there's no way to keep that structure as much. As far as I know, they feel very similar, so my guess is I'll have to break them in. I'm not actually sure if I'm going to do a 1-month review of these, just because they are so rare and so special. I might just keep them for my collection, but I wanted to give you guys a good idea of what the review is like and what some of that passing looks like, some juggling, some dribbling looks like with these boots. As far as the sole plate goes, it's very, very similar. I mean, I know it from the Tiempo Legend 8 and 7. If you didn't have either of those boots, this sole plate is really nice. It's got good pivoting power in the forefoot area and definitely gives you a nice amount of grip from all of the studs. For sure safe on both FG and AG pitches. I would recommend going true to size with these boots, especially because they will stretch a little bit, but my feet are just kind of crammed right in them right now, which is a very normal and awesome way to start the break-in process, because you don't want it to be loose or comfy right when, at least my opinions on boots is you don't want to slip in them and be super comfy, because especially with aggressive wear, for a lot of you out there, for most of you out there who are actually wearing their football boots when they play in them, you're not buying these to keep them in your collection. I would recommend going true to size, just so that when you fit your foot in, it is a little bit snug, and you might have a couple hot spots here and there, but as you break them in, this leather is going to stretch. It's going to do a really good job of wrapping your foot in a one-to-one sensation on feet, which is awesome. So super, super cool boots. I'm really stoked to be able to have these on feet and to be able to experience them. I would say
I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but I'm definitely not as stoked as I was when I saw them in pictures, simply, and not because of how they look. I think they look really nice and they look beautiful, and it's a cool homage with the Montebelluna logo on the back and everything like that. But the one thing that I was kind of hoping, because the Tiempo Legend 9 has sort of fallen from my favorite boot just because of the shape. It didn't really break in as well as I thought it would, and it went really well for a few days, and then it just kind of didn't. It was like almost there, almost to that plateau where I'm like, okay, I could wear the boot in a game, something like a Battle Pack remake, something like the Leather F50 Adi 04 remake, something like a Hypervenom Phantom 3, boots that I love and are so perfectly fit to my feet that I almost don't even notice that they're on my feet. The Tiempo Legend 9 Elite doesn't do that, and these don't really feel that much different than the normal Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. So in my opinion, if you're absolutely set on getting these ones, I wouldn't pay probably more than like 20 to 30% more than retail, especially if you can get the normal Tiempo Legend 9 Elite, which will give you pretty much the same sensation as these for retail price or even less, depending on where you buy them from. And that's my own thought process, because I'm like, man, the regular Tiempo Legend 9, I'm really stoked about them. I like the idea. I like that they went backwards in technology, but the shape just didn't fit my foot quite right. That's for me, that's wide midfoot and fairly wide toe box area. These have a pretty thin toe box, as you can see, and so my feet even right now are getting a little bit smushed up against the end of this boot. So I would say I love the concept of these. I love the fact that they did the homage to the Pirlo Tiempo when he won the World Cup. That being said, now that I'm like continuing to wear them and continuing to kind of move around in them, I don't know if it's a boot that I'm actually going to wear. I think it's a boot that I'm going to keep in my collection and just keep pristine, keep nice, so that I can put them in a glass box later, which I know is kind of the antithesis of what you wanted to hear. You want to hear me say I'm going to wear these in games and stuff, but for me, it's all about finding the boots that really fit my feet, which is important for you guys as well. There's a lot of consumerism stuff out there, and although I totally buy into that stuff, I love the hype around boots. I love that people get excited about new football boots like this and special remakes like this. But for my feet, a Tiempo Legend 9 Elite isn't quite at that upper echelon of boot that I wear in training normally or in games. So it's just not something that's going to feature a lot more on the channel. I do wear them for some training sessions, not these, but a regular pair that I got. And I would say, if you are interested in the Tiempo Legend 9, I would just go for the regular ones, because you're going to pay way more for these, and they're going to be just slightly different with the lack of padding in the forefoot, or just not having the padding in the forefoot, and then they're just going to be about the same shape. So that's kind of my take on them. I don't know what other reviewers are saying, but my hot take is these are amazing. They look beautiful. They definitely fit really nice. The Allegria leather is super soft and really does give you that premium, like made in Japan Mizuno type feel to the boot. Obviously, these being made in Italy, that's a different story. But I would say if you're going to go for something, definitely just try to get a regular Tiempo, because they're not that much different. It's not like the Battle Pack remakes from Adidas that are a totally different hybrid touch upper with the combination of the modern sole plate. This is basically a Tiempo Legend 9 Elite with a thinner, more premium leather upper and a different sole plate that's about equitable to the current generation. So that's my hot take. Take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, as somebody who has wider feet and doesn't quite fit the shape of the Tiempo Legend 9, for some people who love the Tiempo Legend 9, if you are currently wearing that model and you want one that's even more barefoot and more sensational, definitely would check these out, because these are, in my opinion, I would rather wear these than the normal Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. But again, you guys know my thoughts there. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, guys. Leave down below in the comments any more questions you have about these made in Italy, made in Montebelluna, Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. As always, be awesome, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.